was the hardest part or some of the big challenges as you went through that process? Because it's not always the easiest road getting through acquisition to launch.
Yeah, that's, I think initially that first decision of like, you're looking at the sticker price and just the fear of like making the first call that we're going to do this and this is what we're buying. That was a big step. Exciting, but scary.
Yeah. Particularly when you kind of come to the realization of like, yeah, we're going to end up replacing more than we initially thought. We just wrote a big check for the house and now we're going to write more big checks for all the other things. And then, some of those things. So I think that was one of the ones too, where it was like, oh, okay, well, but we looked at it as like, hey, this is an important investment to get it off on the right foot. And, you only get, one opportunity to come out of the gates hot. And so, we wanted to make sure we did that. And so, we decided to make that investment and say, all right, hey, we want to do this right, right out of the gate. And not, kind of piecemeal it together too much because, then, there's a lot of reasons to delay things or not do things. And then, 3 years later, we might still be, talking about replacing the water heater, and then, fielding complaints on hot water running out. Right. So like, those are the types of things where we kind of said, all right, hey, well, let's make the investment now. Let's get it in and get it launched the right way.
Love that. And I love that you brought up, Angie, one of the hardest parts is actually making the decision we're doing this, right? Like this is real. Yeah. Like we're actually signing the offer. We're actually going to do this. We don't talk about that nearly as often as I know how much that is probably the hardest and scariest part, especially on somebody's first investment property, is actually saying we're doing this, or like we're looking at each other like, holy crap, are we like we're doing this? Or is this like, it's like we're 90% scared to death, 10% excited, and we don't know which one's which sometimes. And we're like,
Yeah. I think there were more than one occasions where we just kind of look across the room at each other and be like, are you sure? And
hoping the other person talks you out of it, right? It's like, you don't want to be, the one that's like,
I don't want to be the one pushing it if you're not doing it, but no, it was. Yeah, we definitely had, that back and forth for sure. But, I think when we, once we kind of made the leap and said, all right, hey, this is a real thing. And, the offer was accepted and we did all the things and we're like, all right, hey, we're in it. So like I said, let's do it right.
Yeah. And I love that too. One of the drawbacks of short-term rentals is they are capital intensive. I mean, it's to really get them set up correctly and get them, like you said, you only get one chance to make a first impression. You really only get one chance to launch that property the right way and get that momentum and, and then really start off on the right foot. Like you mentioned, you're rising to the top 10% of the market right now. I mean, that's phenomenal in a short period of time, but that's because of the decisions you made. And some of those decisions are spending money, right? And getting it set up. And that still can be a really scary part of the process. And it's hard to continue to do when the money is not coming in. You have to look at it and say, I have to make database back decisions where I'm looking at this stuff with a very reasonable chance of being able to get a return on that investment, right? So we are looking at that, but it's still, there's always risk and it's always still feels like that leap of faith.